Well, hello there, everyone, and welcome to the Matt Powers Show podcast. I am your host, the titular character Matt Powers, former superhero, and definite AI on the internet pretending to be human. How are you all today? I hope you're having a lovely day out there. If you're listening to this, whenever you're listening to this, whatever the day may be, I hope it's good for you. Thank you to all my returning fans for coming back and listening to yet another episode. And if you're new here, I appreciate you stopping by. Just to let you know what we do, this is a discussion podcast where basically what I do is I bring up a topic that I've been thinking about and I talk about it. I'm not trying to prove a point. I'm not saying I'm right and others are wrong. This is just, I had some musings, and instead of calling a friend, I thought I'd just speak it to the internet and see who'd listen. And today, we are talking about, there's a big return happening. If any of you are old enough to remember, there was a network called G4 on TV that was sort of a network for nerds and gamers, but also, you know, they did other stuff too to try to be popular. But mostly, they were what was what was left of TechTV when they bought out TechTV, and a lot of that was like shows that were all about, you know, technology and games and stuff like that. They've been off the air for a long time because network television is dead. But the network itself is returning to YouTube. And they will have new programming, new shows, as well as return to some of the old fan favorites, and bringing back along with them some of the people who used to be a part of their network. And I just wanted to talk about this because I'm a huge fan of that era. Specifically a couple of shows. There was Attack of the Show and X-Play, which were the two big shows. I think those were their big shows on G4, and then before that on TechTV as well. Now, let's give you a little bit of history too, real quick. So those who don't know, TechTV was a station that was designed specifically to talk about tech, and one of their big shows was called Screensavers, starring Leo Laporte. And a bunch of the people that were on that show kind of rose to prominence and fame in the tech industry at that time. And what they would do is they would talk about computers and technology and new operating systems and things that were happening in tech that week, right, that they were filming that. And then later, Screensavers would have another show called Call for Help, where you could call in with your tech problem, and Leo Laporte and others would they'd help you. They'd be like, yeah, okay, well, here's what we see the problem is, here's what we see the solution is. Alongside that was a show called X-Play, which is actually a shortened version of what used to be called Extended Play. That was their first season. And that was starring Adam Sessler and Morgan Webb on the classic X-Play. And they were a show that reviewed video games that were coming out. And they were kind of funny about it, and they tried, you know, a little bit of comedy and stuff. And also on top of that, they would also, you know, they'd have goofy skits and things. So these collection of shows on TechTV, for me, were my introduction to cable news, essentially, because it was for me at that. I was about 17 at that time when that was on, so for me that was perfect. And the summer that I discovered it, they went to Comic-Con for the very first time. And that was one of the first times Comic-Con was ever broadcast on television. And then they also had, you know, especially during the holidays, they'd have like 24-hour marathons of their shows. And they would do like, you know, I think Call for Help actually had a 24-hour marathon Call for Help where it was 24 hours they were on air answering calls from all over the world. I think is really cool. I love that kind of programming. I think that's really neat. G4 was a rival cable company that was more geared towards like what's cool and hip and hot. And when they bought TechTV, they tried to basically spice up the shows. They created a show called Attack of the Show, which was very MTV-esque. Not in music videos, but kind of what MTV turned into. It was kind of a show where they were sort of pitching to the lowest common denominator to get people to laugh, but also was talking about, you know, cool, hip things at the time, and as well as technology. X-Play made the transfer over, Screensavers died away, so did Call for Help. Leo Laporte left, Adam Sessler and Morgan Webb stayed, And then by the time G4 had sort of run itself into the ground by changing up too much of the programming and adding too much stuff that nobody cared about, G4 sort of ended with a fizzle, and not with a bang. But what's cool is to see that they're coming back, and specifically, they're bringing back Attack of the Show and X-Play. They know those were their two big shows. They know what those shows mean to people, and they know what they can be if they don't screw around with it too much, with the format too much. And it's good to see Adam Sessler is returning, though Morgan Webb has gone off to do multiple brilliant things with her life and would not be coming back to debase herself like something like this. But Kevin Pereira of Attack of the Show is returning. I think that's pretty cool. I think it's neat that this network found a new home in the streaming age by basically settling on YouTube and saying, nah, man, we can sit right here on this public forum basically and just continue to produce content like we used to. I think it's important that we have these sort of big networks finding new ways to survive, because I don't want nostalgia to run most of what happens in life, but I remember the world growing up where these networks, especially on cable TV, was just what they provided was something so pinnacle to my development as a millennial. And I think Gen Z and whatever, Gen Alpha, whatever the new generation is called, I think they're kind of missing out on that. My son, who's almost 10, tells me about a month ago, he says, Dad, there's a new Power Ranger episodes on every Saturday. I want you to wake me up at 7 so I can watch them. I said, well, I've got a DVR. He says, I'll record them for you. You sleep in, and when you wake up, you can watch it on the DVR. He says, okay. And he goes to watch it the first week we do it, and he goes, hold on. He says, this is an old one. I said, no. I said, on the thing it says it's new. It's brand new. He says, no, but it's on Netflix already. So we go over to Netflix, and sure enough, the entire season had already dropped on Netflix before it even aired on television. I said, well, we can just watch it on Netflix then, I guess. You don't have to watch it on TV if you don't want. Saturday morning cartoons are gone. Saturday morning programming doesn't exist anymore because cable is dead. It really is. It's just what's left is the husk that nobody wants to shovel into the garbage bin. Nobody watches cable. Nobody cares. I have to have cable. It's a part of my rent. If I didn't have to pay for it, believe me, I wouldn't. I'd just pay for internet. Because I already pay for, I get Netflix, and I get Hulu, and I get Prime, and I get Disney Plus, and I get HBO Max, and I get, on occasion I have Paramount Plus when a new Star Trek show drops, or, I have Apple TV Plus right now because there's great shows on there. So it's really cool to see some of these networks themselves, like, coming back in a way that they're like, no, let's throw new stuff, on something like YouTube, where it's free for people to get access to, where they can disseminate it through Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and whatever. But let's find a way to bring back the things that people like and tool it so it works with today's audience. And I think that's something that's been sorely missing. I do really appreciate what G4 did. I appreciate what TechTV did first. Of course, Screensavers, Leo Laporte is, in my opinion, one of the best on TV when it comes to tech, and now he does a podcast network. So if you ever want to see Leo Laporte again, you can. It's called the Twit Network. This Week in Tech, TWIT, the Twit Network. And he does all sorts of shows. And they, as far as I know, they do very well. I watch some of his shows. Every Sunday he's got a big panel show where he has people from tech, come into the studio. Well, I guess right now they're zooming in. But they're talking. They spend a couple hours just talking about tech, and then he's got what he calls the radio show, because they do put it on radio, but it's a podcast where it's just him in the studio and it's just him taking calls. It's call for help, but out of a studio now that he runs, which is fascinating. And now that's never going to be on G4 again. He left when G4 bought TechTV because he didn't want anything to do with G4. I don't blame him. G4 was a different kind of network than TechTV. But it's smart of him to go out there and to start his own network that way, a podcast network. So it's cool that I get to see him. I've been able to watch him every week. But now I get to see, it felt good to have Adam Sessler come back and review video games. It feels good to watch commentary about the video game industry from Kevin Pereira again. These are voices that I have missed. Now, they have new people on it as well, and it's going to be fun to get to know some of these new people. But for me, really, I'm just excited to see how it all kind of, turns around. How they use this platform, how they use YouTube and social media, and if it's possible, that's how they're going to, can they make money at it? Can they be a big network again? That's all. That's all I wanted to talk about today. I'm really excited about it. Wait, yeah, let me ask you this: do you guys remember G4? Do you remember TechTV? Did you ever watch Classic X Play, Screensavers, Attack of the Show? Are you excited for them coming back? Have you seen any of the new videos that they've been putting out? Let me know what your thoughts are. Put the comments below, or email me, davidcampproductions@gmail.com. And what I do, if you're new here, anyone who puts comments down, I'll do an update video sometime later on where I take all the comments and I'll read them and I'll respond to them. So this way we can have a discussion. We can have a dialogue this way over the internet. So feel free to leave something. All I ask is that you're respectful. Please be respectful. Don't be rude. Everyone, all this stuff is subjective. Everyone has different opinions. That's fine. If you didn't like any of that stuff or you don't like them coming back, you can say so. That's fine. Just, don't be mean about it. That's all I ask. Anyway, thank you guys for stopping by. I appreciate you listening to me today. We'll be back again every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, it looks like right now. And we got plenty of good content for the rest of the year. I'm Matt Powers, and as always, this is me saying, Powers out.
Vortex.